Lena's vision darkened after David whispered those words. The wedding hall dissolved into shadows and silence. When she opened her eyes again, she was no longer standing at the altar. She found herself sitting at a wooden table in a dimly lit room with candles. She lifted her hands and saw they were rougher, the skin marked by faint scars and years of work. These were not the hands of a sheltered bride, but of someone who had scrubbed floors, carried water, and lived through struggle. The world around her felt solid, too real to be a dream. She turned toward a mirror on the wall and saw a familiar, yet older version of herself. The woman looking back had brown hair, tied with a simple ribbon, and eyes that held the quiet weariness of someone who had seen too much. Lena tried to understand what was happening, but the more she focused, the more memories began to surface. A name came first, faint at the edge of her mind: Elise. It felt familiar, like something that had always belonged to her but had been hidden away for a long time. As she sat there, pieces of another life began to form in her head. She remembered being Elise, a woman sent on a dangerous mission during a time of war. Her task had been clear: get close to the enemy prince, earn his trust, and end his life before a peace treaty could be signed. But something had gone wrong. She had fallen in love with him. The feelings had been real, and the guilt had been unbearable. She could see the castle now, its high walls wet with rain. She could hear the faint echo of footsteps on the stone floor. She saw herself moving through candlelight, her hand resting over the pocket of her gown where she had hidden a small glass vial. Inside that vial was poison. She had carried it for days, unable to use it, terrified of what it would mean. But orders were orders, and she had already come too far to turn back. That night, she had gone to see him one last time. He was kind and gentle with her, unaware of what she carried. The way he looked at her made her heart ache. She had wanted to tell him everything, to run away with him, to start over somewhere far from the war and the lies, but her loyalty had been torn between two worlds. When the moment came, she had poured the poison into his wine. Her hands had shaken so badly she nearly dropped the cup. He had taken it without suspicion, smiling at her before he drank. She could still remember the exact moment his smile faded, how confusion crossed his face, how fear followed it. He had reached for her, desperate to understand, but she had already begun to cry. The poison worked quickly. He collapsed, his strength fading, his breath turning shallow. She had fallen to the floor beside him, holding his hand, whispering apologies he would never hear. The last thing she remembered was his eyes. They had been full of love and hate at the same time. His final words had not been of forgiveness but of vengeance. He had sworn to find her again in another life, to make her pay for what she had done. The air in the room had gone cold. The candles flickered until every flame went out. She had felt something heavy settle over her chest, like a curse sealing itself into her soul. Then everything went dark. Lena gasped as her body jolted. The stone walls vanished. The air grew warm again, filled with the scent of roses. She was back in the wedding hall, lying on the floor. Everyone around her was frozen. The priest, her parents, the guests all were motionless, as if time itself had stopped. Only David was moving. He stood at the altar, calm and steady, watching her with the same eyes she had seen in the prince. In that moment she understood everything. The dream that had haunted her was not a dream at all. It was a memory. The man standing before her was the same man she had killed long ago. The curse he had spoken had followed them both through time. She had been reborn again and again, and so had he. Every lifetime had brought them back to this moment, the moment of union and death. Now she finally remembered who she was, what she had done, and why he had found her again. This was the price of betrayal. This was the punishment that time refused to forget.